Hey, what's going on, everyone? What's up? Your friend Dean Kulaweera here every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'm right here to help you folks out with job search tips, advice, strategies. Hope you're doing great. I know most of you tuning in are job seekers. So look, I hope wherever you are, wherever you're at in your job search, you're pushing through, you're not giving up, and you're laser focused on your target, right? Which is to land yourself that job that you know you deserve and that you know where you have the ability to bring a lot of value to the table. All right. So for those of you tuning in for the first time, my name is Dean, and appreciate you tuning in. So every week on Wednesdays, I go live, and basically this is my way, one of my ways of adding value to my network. Primarily, those of you tuning in are probably tuning in from LinkedIn, but also wanted to give a quick shout out to everyone tuning in on YouTube, as well as on Twitter as well. And by the way, if you're interested in following me on my other social channels, make sure you check out my Linktree page, which is right here. So just type it in, or maybe take a screenshot of this, or I don't know, type it out later on. Just go to linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. Again, that's linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. All my social links are on there. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, all these other channels, feel free to check out that page. All my links are over there, so make sure you check it out. Especially if you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook. I post, well, not just those ones, but also on my LinkedIn company page. I post a daily 60-second job search tip as well. So that might be helpful for those of you who are like me, who maybe might have a short attention span. All right. So feel free to check me out. Check out all my social links on that page. And don't be shy. Feel free to introduce yourself in the comments. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from. And also, any job search tips or advice or questions you have, feel free to drop those in the comments. And I'll get around to your questions throughout the stream, or if not, maybe closer to the end of the stream as well. Also, at that same link, or even if you visit my LinkedIn page, if you go to the featured section, also make sure you check out my LinkedIn newsletter, which I release every week on Mondays, typically during the afternoons. And I talk about a recruitment related topic, more so for the hiring and recruitment side of things. And I also share a job search topic, more for those of you who might be job seekers, right? Not this past week, but this Monday, my newsletter focused on the recruitment side. I was talking about how to approach passive candidates. And for the job seeker side of things, I shared some tips on how to stay motivated as a job seeker. So make sure you check those out. And, I appreciate everyone that has subscribed. And if you want the link again to my newsletter, you can go again to my Linktree page, which I shared before, or just go to my LinkedIn profile, scroll down to the featured section, just scroll through the featured items, and you should reach the one that's the link for my LinkedIn newsletter, right? So appreciate everyone who has subscribed already. And also, just a quick heads up in regards to by the way, today's topic, folks, I'm going to be talking about is not all questions that you ask the interviewer are going to be good, are good questions. And this is based on something that I've been, every now and then I hear from hiring managers, is candidates just not asking questions that are relevant to them, right, to the hiring manager or to the interviewer. So I'm going to be talking a bit more about that. But let's see, we got some comments here. We got Sweta in the house. Great topic. Look forward to it. Hey, I appreciate that. Appreciate you tuning in, Sweta. Yeah, if you're a job seeker, folks, make sure you follow Sweta. She's she's well known on LinkedIn, and she has some great topics and content that she posts. So make sure you follow Sweta as well. I don't know how I keep saying it. I don't know how the weather people know exactly where to point. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right. So thanks so much for tuning in, Sweta. And hey, Sneha, good to see you here, and always good to have you on here. And I hope you're doing great. Appreciate you tuning in. So before I get into that, what the other thing I wanted to talk about is, so I have an upcoming event actually that I'll be speaking at, and this is hosted by my friends at NIPCA. Hold on, let me just remove that line of text there so you folks can see the details. So I'll be speaking. I've been invited to speak at an event hosted by my friends at NIPCA and Black Tech. So shout out to the Nigerian community here in Canada. This is a group consisting of these amazing individuals in the tech industry from the Nigerian community here in Canada. And I'll be speaking at an event tomorrow. So it's going to be April 7th, which is tomorrow. It's a virtual event, and it's going to be taking place at 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. And it's free registration. So check out that link that's in this graphic itself. It should be on this side right here. Yeah, right here. You should see that link. If not, just visit my LinkedIn profile. And again, in the featured section, there should be a post which should have that same link as well. So just click on that post, or just go to this page right here. It's bit.ly/landing tech job. Now, the attendees are definitely mostly newcomers to Canada. But even if you're not a newcomer, you've been in Canada for a while, I'm pretty sure you'll benefit from what I'm going to be speaking about on this segment. So again, it's happening tomorrow, folks. Thursday, April 7th is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. And I'm going to be sharing some tips on how you can land yourself a tech job, given based on my perspective, recruiting in the tech industry for over 8 years. So I'm going to be talking about how to map out your job search, I'm going to be talking about resume tips and advice. I'm going to be talking about channels you can use to approach your job search. I'm going to be talking a bit about your social media strategy. I'm going to be talking about interview tips and advice. And of course, because I am a tech recruiter myself, I'm definitely going to be speaking about how you can and how you should be leveraging IT recruiters as part of your job search strategy. Right. So make sure so look, I hope I get to see you at that event. Again, the details you can check out at that link right there in this graphic right here, or just go to my LinkedIn profile after today's segment, go to the featured section, and there should be a posting with the details for this event. So feel free to check that out. And look, most of the time, folks, you're going to be coming across tech recruiters in your job search, right? If you're an IT professional, you're looking for IT work, majority of the time, and I did a LinkedIn poll about this recently, and I think like over 100 of you voted on it. And I think over 60% of the time, your first point of contact will be with a tech recruiter. So I'm gonna be talking about that as well on this segment. So so if you're gonna be joining, hope to see you there. We got Varsha in the house. Varsha says, "Hi, Dean. I'm Varsha. Hey, Varsha, good to meet you. Thanks so much for tuning in, and hope you get value out of today's session." And Sweta says, "Make sure to ask the right questions to avoid ghosting." Yeah, absolutely. You got to ask the right questions, and that's an important part of making sure you're not being ghosted, right? So before I get into today's segment, today's stream is sponsored by Tech Recruiters 360, which is my recruitment business. So look, if you're an IT professional in Canada, you're an organization looking for IT talent, that is an area that I can help, whichever side of the table you're at, whether you're an IT professional or a company or an organization looking to hire tech talent. Definitely make sure you give me a shout, send me a connection request, send me a direct message. To see if there's any way I can assist you, whether it's software developers, business analysts, project managers, typically from intermediate to senior level. I can definitely help your organization out if you're looking for people in the tech industry. And if you're an IT professional, regardless of your skill set in IT, if you're an IT professional based out of Canada, definitely make sure you reach out to me and let me know if there's any way I can help you with your next career move. This session is also sponsored by DK Global Talent, which is my digital course company. Applying to Jobs Online 101 is the digital course I recently released. And if you're experiencing issues with applying for jobs, not getting responses, make sure you check out more details for my course. It's at dkglobaltalent.com/get responses. So that being said, let's get into today's topic, folks, which I wanted to cover is why not all questions you ask the interviewer are good questions. Now, the reason why I wanted to cover this topic is because I hear this as a common source of frustration from hiring managers, every now and then. And on the job seeker side of the equation, this is a mistake I myself have made as a job seeker myself, right? is that, I didn't ask. Maybe I was making a great impression. I was on the right track. I was making a great impression, and then I screwed it up because I didn't ask the right questions from one of the people present at the interview, right? One of the interviewers. Quick story time. All right, just to give you an example of this, like I remember a couple of years back, I was interviewing at this company. I was just so I was really excited about. Okay, I was so excited about this company. Like I was putting in the research. I was prepared. I was prepared a whole bunch of my own questions. I prepared my presentation. Like I did this presentation for them, just to show them how excited and interested I was about them. And it was the first interview, right? And look, no exaggeration, folks. I hit the ball out the park. I totally impressed. And the two people present at the first interview was the HR person, as well as the actual manager that I will be reporting to directly. Okay, both of them absolutely love me. They love me, and they were like so excited about me, and I was so excited about them. And after the interview, when I sent my thank you note, the manager replied to my email, and she was like, "Dude, we love you. We're really eager to get you on to the next step of the process." And she was like so positive, and she really liked to have me on her team, right? And she's like, "Dude, we're really excited to have you on board. We really want you to get this job. Here's my," and she actually gave me her personal number, and she's like, "I want you to call me before your second interview so I can give you a heads up on what to expect on the next interview." So I'm like, I'm thinking, man, I got this. I mean, it's in the bag. I got this. I mean, the manager's supportive of me on this. So I got on a call with her, and she actually took the time to coach me on what to expect on the next interview, and who's gonna be there and all that stuff. So the next interview comes around. Now at this interview, it's the same two people, the HR manager, the actual manager that I'd be reporting to as well. But this time there would be the manager's manager. So I believe this person was either the VP or senior VP or something like that. And I was well prepared because, again, remember, the manager got on a quick call with me, and she was like, coaching me on what to expect in this conversation, and everything was going great. Everything was going smooth until until it reached the point where the vice president, the senior VP, asked me, "Hey, so do you have any questions for me, or what questions do you have for me in regards to this position?" And man, this part, folks, I screwed it up because I did not ask relevant questions, and I started asking a whole bunch of questions from this vice president that just was not relevant to their job or their role or their perspective or where they fit into the organization. I was asking a whole bunch of like questions, and I wish I could remember the questions I was asking, because it was from at least 6-7 years ago, so I can't even remember what questions I was asking. But what I do remember, folks, is that the whole attitude of the vice president like totally changed. Like they went from being eager and excited about me to just, I could see the energy just drain from their face. They were like, a total change in attitude because I was not asking the right questions. And this is so crucial, and this is why I really want to bring this home for you folks who are watching this. Is just because you're asking a question does not mean it's a good question, right? I know everyone says always, always. Yeah, we hear it all the time everywhere on the internet, and even from me. I'm always talking about this, right? Never say you don't have any questions. Always ask questions at the interview. Yeah, but you got to ask the right questions, right? And a perfect example of this was what I experienced, right? I mean, right here, this vice president initially I was doing so great, and then finally I was asking my own questions, and I was just asking irrelevant questions that had nothing to do with them, and it just gave the impression to the vice president that I had zero idea about what I was talking about, and what my target was, what I was trying to achieve, and who they were. And it was just coming across as if I didn't do any research about them and what they did as a VP, and my understanding of them, and how they fit into the organization. And the interest level of the vice president just flipped. And of course, when I got home, I don't think I got the feedback right away. I think I got the feedback like a couple of days later, and it was, yeah, sorry to let you know that we're not looking, well, we don't feel like, there's a good mutual fit here. We appreciate your time, blah, blah, blah. You know how it is, folks, right? But I was so disappointed. And the only good thing is, I knew that it was because I screwed up with the questions part. I was not asking the right questions. That was the only thing. Now, a lot of times it's not going to be that obvious, right? A lot of you might be going in for your interviews and you're like, yeah, I'm hitting the ball out of the park. But look, how am I going to know whether or not I'm asking the right questions? So I got a few questions here, comments here. Varsha says, I'm looking for an IT job. I hope your events help me. Well, I certainly do hope that they help you as well, Varsha. Sean says, do you have a link for this screencast? Not sure what you mean by screencast, Sean. Are you talking about this live stream that I'm doing right now, or do you mean the event that I talked about before? So maybe I'll clarify what exactly you mean there. Peter says, hi, Dean. Could you please mention topics to avoid and give some real life examples? Example, I assume family or personal information are topics like that. Okay, great. I'll get to your question shortly, Peter. That's a great topic right there. But continuing with today's topic, folks, look, you got to ask the right questions as well, right? And this, I was, you know, it was a terrible, disappointing experience. This whole thing where I was so excited about this company, and then I screwed up by not asking the right relevant questions. So what I wanted to share with you folks is, first of all, that story right there, I just wanted to share with you, for those of you out there who might be like, yeah, well, Dean, it's just the questions part. What's the big deal? So what if I ask a few irrelevant questions or something like that? No, the questions part, the part where you get to ask your own questions, folks, this is a huge opportunity, not only to continue making a great impression, not only to continue showing them that you've done your homework, you've done your research, and you're asking relevant questions. Not only all that, but simply it's an opportunity for you to open more options to probe, investigate, learn more about the opportunity, learn more about the individual you're asking the question from as well. So just a couple of things to drive home is, and the first thing is, and I've already mentioned this, is your questions must be relevant to the person you're asking the question from. Right? If you're taking notes, you definitely want to write this down. Right? And again, this goes to what I'm kind of talking about so far. Not every question, just because you're asking a question from the interviewer, when you're at that part where they're asking, do you have any questions? That's just because you're performing the act of asking a question does not mean it's a good question. So key tip here, folks, is it has to be relevant to the person you're asking the question, right? Now, the exception here is unless it's a recruiter, right? Because a recruiter, obviously, you're not going to be asking talent acquisition related questions or recruitment related questions from the recruiter. Okay, if it's a recruiter, it's fine because you're expecting the recruiter maybe have some general understanding of certain aspects of the role, the opportunity, the project, blah blah blah. So the exception here is if it's a recruiter. But outside of that, if it's a hiring manager, I don't know, a senior manager, a vice president, a director, a C-level executive, your question, whatever question you're going to be asking these individuals, it has to be relevant to them. Okay, based on where they stand in the organization, based on where they fit in the organization, right? So let's say I'm applying for a role, right? The person I'm directly reporting to is their title is manager or whatnot. Now I'm in the second interview, third interview, and I'm meeting with I don't know, the some C-level executive, someone really higher up the food chain at the organization. I should not be asking a C-level executive, hey, what's my day-to-day responsibilities and duties going to be looking like, or what do you expect me to achieve in regards to this specific I don't know day-to-day challenge that you want me to be addressing in this role. Unless this C-level executive is someone that you're going to be directly reporting to, it's probably not a good idea to ask them a question that's related to the day-to-day. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to result in them being like, okay, yeah, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is the question is not really relevant to someone at the C-level, right? And again, this is in the situation where this is not someone you're reporting to directly. I'm talking about here the situation where the C-level executive is maybe your boss's boss's boss or something like that. Like they're going to be more so focused on the big picture stuff at the organization. So your question should probably be geared more towards big picture stuff, strategic stuff, long-term goals and outcomes, and how you fit into that picture. Like it's more beneficial for you as well as for them for you to be asking those types of questions. And why it's important for you to ask them those types of questions, folks, is by asking those questions relevant to them. Right. And at the C-level, we're talking, big picture stuff, right? Strategic stuff, long-term, medium to long-term stuff. That's going to help them kind of see how you're going to fit into their big picture plans, right? Even though you might be someone that's more so, approaching things on a day-to-day, kind of a day-to-day standpoint, right? So relevance is key here. You got to ask relevant questions. Relevance is key. That is one of the most important parts that you need to consider when you're formulating your own questions and as you're considering whether or not you should be asking a certain question from the interviewer or whoever it is that you're asking the question from. So remember to keep this in mind, right? Now, the other tip I wanted to share is research. I mean, and this is so. I mean, it can come across as so obvious and so common sense. So I mean, it's such a common sense kind of a thing, but I still got to put it out there because a lot of people out there are not really doing this. Research the interviewer, folks. You got to research the interviewer and research the background of the interviewer prior to the interview. This is such a simple interview preparation step, and I go over this with all of my candidates that I've ever represented. I always tell them, research, like, here are the interviewers. So and so is going to be there. So and so is going to be there, and such is going to be there. And then I provide links to their LinkedIn profiles, and hopefully all of them have LinkedIn profiles. And I say, go research these individuals prior to your interviews. See what their career path has been like. How has their career progressed? What kind of because all this information, all that research you're putting into these individuals who are going to be interviewing you at the interview, it's going to give you an idea about their perspective and what they bring to the table, where they fit into the organization. And this is, again, going to help you make sure that you're asking the most relevant questions, right? Because this is something, again, I see some people fail to do. Because if you don't research these individuals and you only get to meet with them at the interview itself, you're kind of caught off guard, right? Because you're like, okay, I don't know where they fit in. I don't know where what exactly they do at this organization. And I don't know what type of projects they're involved in. Is it certain types of projects? Is it certain types of areas that they're involved in? I mean, you don't know, right? And now I'm not saying that every single person out there they're gonna mention these things on their LinkedIn profile, but it's helpful, right? I mean, it's such a simple thing that you can do, folks, prior to your interviews. Look them on by LinkedIn. Look up the interviewer on LinkedIn. Do some research on them, right? Like, for example, someone might have the title of I don't know, director of technology, right? For example, director of technology. You go in there for an interview, you don't research them. You're like, oh, director of technology, that must mean that they come from a tech background like me, and they're really technical and blah blah blah. And you start talking about a whole bunch of tech stuff. You start asking them a whole bunch of technical related questions. They end up feeling like an idiot, and you're like, how come this person doesn't look like they like me anymore, right? Whereas if you had done some research, done a quick search, looked them up on LinkedIn, you would have seen that even though they are the director of technology, they come from a non-technical background. Maybe their career earlier on was more as I don't know, a project manager or a business analyst, definitely with tech related projects, but they were more so from non-technical fields before that. Then you would not have asked them hardcore technical questions. Right. So that's just a quick example I just wanted to share with you folks on why it's important for you to do some research. Actually research the individuals that are going to be interviewing you so that you're asking relevant questions, right? Relevant questions. Now, if you're not sure what to ask them, let's say for whatever reason, you're not sure what to ask them. Okay. Maybe they didn't have a LinkedIn profile. You're not sure how to research them, how to find them, or whatever the case is. Or maybe it's a surprise appearance at the interview, right? The recruiter, the hiring manager, who your point of contact was, they did not give you a heads up that this person is going to be there at the interview. Now, what do you do? How are you going to make sure you're asking relevant questions? Well, it's real simple, folks. Ask about them. Ask about what they do. Ask about what projects they're involved in. Ask about how they fit into the organization. Ask about how they fit into the project. And showing that interest in them, you're going to get more information about how they fit into and how they are relevant to the role that you're interviewing for yourself. And that's going to give you a better idea of what kind of questions, impromptu, what kind of questions you can ask them at the interview itself, right? So it comes down to relevance. It comes down to doing some research, and it comes down to asking questions about the person that's interviewing you. Because worst case scenario, if you don't know who they are, you don't know what they're doing, you don't know what kind of projects they're involved in, just ask them. I mean, those themselves can be the questions that you can ask this individual, right? So you get a better understanding, a better grasp about who they are, how they fit in. Because ultimately, folks, if someone is there at the interview, if they've been invited to the interview as part of the panel, or they're interviewing you for the role, it's because they have some kind of a stake or involvement in the project, and because that they have some kind of a say or influence in regards to the hiring decision. And you got to figure that out as soon as possible by asking the right questions, right? So I just want to cover that real quick. I'm going to get to your questions in the comments right now. But hey, look, it's about relevance. Relevance is so important. Make sure you're asking relevant questions so that you're able to see how this person fits in the picture, and that person sees how you fit into their reality and their picture as well. Because that's just as important, right? Because if you're not making use of asking the right questions, they're not going to be able to visualize how you fit into their agenda, their goals, their targets, and all that stuff. So just make sure you're doing that. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask that in the comments as well. Let's see. So I know that Peter mentioned a great question here. So Peter says, "Hi Dean, could you please mention topics to avoid and give some real life examples? Example: I assume family or personal information topics are like that." Yeah. So I mean, look, folks, this might depend on your region and where you are in the world, but at least here in North America, we try to avoid any personal topics such as, I don't know, maybe to do. I mean, family life. I wouldn't say that family life is an issue. I mean, it's a pretty standard question to say, "Hey, so how's the family going?" and stuff like that. But if it's at that part of the interview where they're asking you, appreciate your time. Thanks for coming in. We really enjoyed talking to you. Do you have any questions for us? Or do you have any questions that we can answer for you in regards to this position and this project? Now, if that's what it is, then asking about personal questions and family life, I mean, it's going to be a little weird and kind of off topic, right? The family life, personal questions. Maybe you want to ask that right at the beginning, Peter, where it's more so the rapport building part of the interview, right? When it's right at the beginning, you sit down, you introduce yourselves to each other. Then you might engage in some small talk, right? Yeah. So how's the family doing? How are you doing? Oh, did you watch the game, or did you go do this? Did you do that? That might be more appropriate to ask more familial type of questions. But I mean, if it's at that specific part of the interview where they're like, "Hey, do you have any questions for us?" I mean, asking questions about the family, personal life, yeah, it's going to be a little weird and kind of off topic, right? So that would be my advice in regards to that. Hope that helps, Peter, and great question. We got Bhavdeep in the house. Hey, Bhavdeep, thanks for tuning in. Hope you're getting value out of this session. Sean says your LinkedIn live conversation. A friend is looking for a job and would benefit from your conversation. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, so I mean, the link is basically, I mean, you should be able to go to my profile, and I added this conversation to the featured section, so it should be there as a post, Sean. So you're most welcome to share that post with your friend, right? I mean, I believe that's what you're asking, so hope that helps. Then what else? We got Shweta. Shweta says, "Hi Dean, can you please help what questions we can ask to the interviewer during the interview? Some best examples, please." Yeah, so Shweta, I mean, this I would suggest asking questions that help you further understand the hiring motivation, the hiring, what the problem is, questions about the problem, about the project, and stuff like that, right? So, and again, it's kind of hard to give examples because it depends on the context and it depends on the conversation, right? But let's say there was you discussed the position, the problem, the project, whatever it is. A standard, a typical question I would personally advise everyone to ask at the end of the interview is, "Hey, what are your what are your expected deliverables, outcomes? Like, what would you want me to achieve, Mr. and Mrs. Recruiter, during the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days on the job?" And I think that's such a great question to ask because it gives you an idea of what's important to them that they need done and completed and accomplished, like ASAP, right? I mean, the first 30, 60, 90 days, like that is such a key part of what you need to be asking folks. So I would suggest that that's a very good question that everyone out there, you need to be asking, because it's gonna let you know what's most important to them. And guess what? This opens up more conversation options for you as well, right? Because when they tell you, "Oh, well, Dean, in the first 30, 60, 90 days, we need you to accomplish XYZ," then I can ask a follow-up question and be like, "Oh, okay, interesting. Why is that important to you? Why do you need X, Y, and Z accomplished in whatever time frame, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days?" And that further builds up into the conversation, right? And look, folks, like, you got to look at your interviews as a conversation, right? I mean, it's a two-way conversation. It's not like, okay, they ask a question, I give an answer. They ask another question, I give an answer. I ask a question, they no, it's not like that. Stop thinking of your interviews like that. It has this very fluid flow, right? It's back and forth. It's very fluid, right? So hope that helps, Shweta. And again, that I would suggest that's a great question to always ask. What are your expectations? What are the deliverables you want me to accomplish within the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? I think that's a great question and very important question to ask as well. So hope that helps, Shweta. We got Bhavdeep here says, hi, Dean, thanks for conducting an informative session. No worries, Bhavdeep. Hope that helps. And Amrit says, great content, Dean. Hey, I appreciate that, Amrit, and thanks for the feedback. So looks like that's it for questions. Looks like there's no more other questions here. So look, I hope everyone got great value out of today's segment. And by the way, for those of you who made comments, I wanted to so let's see here who gave some great comments here. So Varsha, if you're still there, appreciate you tuning in. I want to give you a copy of my free PDF, How to Run Recruiters Through Your Resume. So feel free to send me a direct message after the live stream. I'll be happy to hook you up with my PDF. Same thing goes for let's see here. Peter, I know you already have a copy of my PDF. Bhavdeep, same thing. Appreciate your correspondence and your interactions in the comments. So send me a direct message after the live stream. I definitely want to hook you up with my free PDF, How to Run Recruiters Through Your Resume as well. Also, Shweta, same thing. Feel free to send me a direct message after the live stream. Happy to hook you up with my my PDF, How to Run Recruiters Through Your Resume. I'm happy to hook you up with that. Amrit, same thing with you. I'm not sure if you're actively job seeker or anything, but if you want to, I'm happy to hook you up with that as well. All right. So feel free to send me a direct message. All of you folks who interacted and gave those great comments. Peter says, then it seems North American people are more open in small talks. Here, there's no sports or family topic, only traffic and weather. Yeah, I mean, I guess it could depend on the person and the individual as well. I mean, it depends, right? But yeah, for the most part, we don't get too much into personal topics. But yeah, I mean, if there is any talk about, hey, how are you doing? How's your family? Especially during COVID, that's kind of been a pretty common topic over here, Peter. Kind of to open up the interview is, typically interviewers might ask, hey, so how are you doing? How are you and your family managing COVID and, that kind of thing. But I mean, prior to COVID, yeah, I'd probably say, I mean, they probably don't ask about family and stuff like that. I mean, I would say that it's simply as a result of COVID. People might ask, hey, so how are you? How are your family doing? Hope everyone's good. Hope everyone's well, blah, 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 that kind of thing. All right. So that being said, looks like that's all for the questions. Sweta says, thanks, Dean. Hey, no worries. Shilpi says, thanks, Dean. No worries, Shilpi. Appreciate you tuning in. So that's it for today, folks. Appreciate everyone tuning in. And don't forget to mark your calendars. Make sure you tune in next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. I'm going to be right here. Also, make sure you follow me on all my social channels. All my links are at this page right here, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter, linktr.ee/DK Tech Recruiter. Make sure you check that out. And also, again, a final reminder for those of you who might have some free time over tomorrow. I'm gonna be with my friends at NIPCA and Black Tech, and I'm gonna be presenting on the topic of landing your dream job in tech. Definitely, mostly like the audience is mostly newcomers to Canada, but hey, even if you're not a newcomer, you'll probably benefit from what I'm going to be speaking about. So that's going to be taking place tomorrow, Thursday, April 7th. At 8 p.m. Eastern time zone. Hope to see you folks over there if you want to get some time with me. This is going to, by the way, I forgot to mention, it's going to be a Zoom interactive session, all right? So I'm going to be presenting for about 45 minutes. And then after that, for the remaining 45 minutes, it's an open Q&A, open mic. You're going to be able to ask me your questions live, all right? So, you're most welcome to do that. And I hope to see you folks there. And if not, I'll see you again next week, Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time zone. Everyone have a fantastic week. Don't give up. Keep pushing through. And keep pushing through, folks. Keep pushing through. Don't give up. And I'll see you around next time, all right? Have a wonderful remainder of the week.